At 2:37 a.m. on June 19, 1993, a maximum security prison in Arkansas went silent. Two men were missing. One was a convicted murderer. The other was the guard who was supposed to be watching him. What no one knew then was that one of them didn't belong there at all. His name was Eli Turner, a quiet man, 28 years old, convicted of killing a woman he'd never met. No physical evidence, no eyewitnesses, just a confession signed after 17 hours without food or a lawyer. He spent 8 years behind bars for a crime everyone had already forgotten. Everyone except one man. Daniel Price was 42, a veteran guard, 15 years on the job. He followed the rules until Eli Turner. At first, he saw him as just another inmate, but over time, he noticed something different. Eli didn't talk like a criminal. He talked like a man still trying to understand how he'd ended up there. Over 8 years, Daniel watched Eli's world shrink to four walls. He saw the letters Eli wrote to lawyers. None ever answered. He saw the appeals denied, stamped in red ink. And one night, when Daniel found Eli crying quietly in his cell, something broke. He said later, it wasn't sympathy. It was guilt, because I realized I was guarding an innocent man. Eli's case was based on a confession. Taken after 17 hours of interrogation, the detective in charge, Frank Denton, was later investigated for coercion. Two other suspects, both with violent records, were ignored. By 1993, all the evidence had been destroyed. All except one photo. That photo showed a set of footprints, too small to be Eli's. For weeks, Daniel tried to get someone to listen. He called the warden, wrote to the governor, even mailed the Innocence Project. No one responded. And one night, something inside him snapped. He unlocked cell block C, Eli looking up in disbelief. He told Eli, "You can stay here and die for what you didn't do, or you can run." Stopwatch 20 to 2300 hours, the escape. At 2:37 a.m., Eli and Daniel walked through the service tunnel, a route Daniel knew better than anyone. Cameras were disabled for 6 minutes. By the time the alarm sounded, they were already gone. Eli Turner, inmate number 4219, disappeared into the woods. Daniel Price, correctional officer, disappeared with him. A statewide manhunt began within hours. Helicopters, roadblocks, national headlines. The story was simple: a dangerous inmate and a corrupted guard. Newspaper headline: guard betrays duty, police cars speeding down rural roads, searchlights sweeping forest, Eli and Daniel hiding under bridge. But the truth was more complicated. 3 years later, a body was found near the Tennessee border. Daniel Price. In his backpack, police found a letter addressed to the governor. "You'll say I'm a criminal. Maybe I am, but I did what the system wouldn't. I opened the door for a man who never should have been behind it." Weeks later, Eli Turner resurfaced in a church in Kansas. He'd lived under a false name, working as a mechanic, just like before. Eli turned himself in, but refused to plead guilty. The Innocence Project reopened his case. DNA testing proved what Daniel had always believed. Eli Turner was innocent. He walked out a free man, holding the letter that set him free. Some say Daniel Price was a traitor. Others call him a hero. But maybe he was just human, a man who saw injustice and couldn't keep the key in his pocket any longer. Because sometimes freedom doesn't come from breaking out. It comes from someone believing you shouldn't have been locked up in the first place.